Y'all, somewhere in a concrete warehouse surrounded by a bunch of unfinished Yeezys, Kanye West is sitting up here cackling, screaming at anybody that will listen. I knew Kim couldn't do it without me. I knew she'd be nothing without me. Now listen, normally I am the type to ignore lately everything that Kanye West says, but y'all, we gotta talk about this. Kris Jenner just had her 70th birthday party. Kim is bragging she just opened 15 stores in Israel and also got $225 million in investing. And that's when I said, wait a second, right? Something ain't adding up. And Kanye might be closer to the truth than we think, because business experts are saying that Skims is not doing well at all. And the only thing that Kim has to hang her accomplishment on, the only thing that she had that we were believing this whole billion-dollar lie was Skims. And Skims is not doing well at all. And baby, I bought receipts. Y'all, let's get into this because, yeah, something ain't adding up. And again, it's not like people are going to be like, hi, we're worth $5 billion, but we're also broke. So we need investors. That's not the way it works. And this $225 million influx, even I did a little research, even fashion insiders, mainly the Business of Fashion, which is the fashion Bible for the financial side, right? They are saying that things are not good in Skims land. Let's get into this, right? Because again, when I read that, I said, oh no. Because again, scrolling on Instagram, seeing Kim, I was like, oh no, not a GoFundMe that got a $225 million donation being looked at as the business score of the year. Baby, that's not a billion-dollar brand. That is a cash advance. Okay, so if you guys don't know, let's start off with Kanye's hilarious statements. And again, I too rolled my eyes at them, and I'm going to bring y'all the receipts. Because I was like, Kanye, shut up. Like, that's why you making Bianca, like, see-through sparkle clothes so she can, like, teeter around like a slutty Tinkerbell. Like, be for real, right? But get this. So Kanye said he's been proven right and that Kim and her brands would sink without him. Now, I do want to say that everything Kim has done outside of Skims has withered away. That said, right, because I know there's going to be devil advocates. I don't know why there's so many people that are just like, act like Kim's their best friend. That's what you do in business. You try and see what sticks to the wall. But let's not forget, she had her private equity firm, Sky Capital. They kicked her out. All her name, all her glamour, all everything, she couldn't get funding for it. Now, that's a different story. But he's reportedly bragging that her success was fueled by his cultural influence. And say what you want, I see no lies told. This is true. And now that he's gone, the cracks are showing. He's also mocking kids' struggle to stay relevant. The article says Kanye is telling people exactly what he predicted. Without his creativity, true, and cultural engines, Kim's empire would wobble. He's also laughing at how hard Kim is working to keep Skims alive. He literally, the article said, Kanye said, look at her hustling. Movies, Met Gala, acting, shock appearances, she's panicking. But here's the thing, this does align perfectly with Skims suddenly needing a $225 million cash injection. Just hear me out, all right? He also claims that she used him and now the culture has moved on. He's spinning the narrative that Skims was a product of his Yeezy era cultural dominance. That's true. And now that he's not involved, the brand's momentum has not even slowed. It's pretty much stopped. And he said Kim's trying too hard because the magic is gone. And again, he's pointing to Skims' valuation press tour as desperation. He says she's just pushing PR, bragging about valuations, suddenly announcing new acting roles, and running to big name partnerships because she feels pressure. Now, hear me out. Because I actually locked in with some financial tattletales, and they're all of the same conclusion. But hear me out. I think that's why Kim is pushing all fares. She needs something to sustain her. Kim is a glorified influencer, a billion-dollar influencer, but a glorified one. If she disappears, her brands disappear too. She cannot take a day off. She always has to post. She always has to let us in her life. Now, you can argue whether that's easy or not. Kim seems to be over it. She doesn't want to be on reality TV anymore, so she's trying to get in all's fair. But even by her producing her own vehicle, it's still having many people side-eye. Because consider this, and here's some real hard facts, right? Let's get into this, right? So there's an article in the Business of Fashion, which is the Bible for company books, right? The article said that Skims, let me read the article for you. The Business of Fashion said, Skims just raised another $225 million at a $5 billion valuation. That's a killer headline, sure, but it also begs the question, why does a rocket ship need more fuel right now? Laura Sherman breaks down the real story behind the raise, the cost of opening $4 to $5 million stores, the cash poor advanced balance sheet after legacy payouts, the slowed growth curve, and the Nike Skims partnership that hasn't quite delivered. They go on to say, is this all a sign of strength or distress? Now, let's get into this, right? This is why people are saying this $5 billion valuation can actually signal trouble for Skims, all right? And it aligns with Kanye bragging about the fact that Kim's is out. Now, let's also not forget that Kanye still owns 5% of Skims. So every year, right, the Kushners own more of Skims than Kanye, right? But this is when Kanye was a billionaire and he thought he wouldn't need Skims. But every year, Kanye gets a part of their financials. He gets a payoff and he also gets the financials. Now listen, the article says Skims has a cash poor balance sheet, okay? Now, the cash poor balance sheet after legacy payouts, consider this, and this is directly from Financial People. A fast-growing consumer brand being cash poor is not normal. The only way that really actually happens is one, they might have overspent. Overspent on what, you ask? Celebrity payroll, huge marketing budgets. Now, we all know that everybody's in Skims. And I kept wondering, how are you getting such big name people, but nobody's actually wearing Skims like that, especially the lifestyle brand. Huge marketing budgets, which goes to celebrity payroll. And please believe Kim pays herself for all the Skims placement she does. Huge marketing budgets, retail expansions. She just opened 15 stores in Israel. She even opened a shopping spree for daughters of IDF soldiers. Lawsuits and settlements, meaning legacy payouts, means old obligations are still being paid down. Now, I don't know if Kim ever got sued. Emma Greed, whatever, is running Skims pretty much, and she runs a pretty clean ship. So I don't think they got lawsuits, but I definitely know that we can look at celebrity payroll, huge marketing budgets, retail expansions, right? Also consider this, the unit economics aren't working to scale, meaning Skims grows, then they lose money, and they need more cash to keep going. It's basically almost like a pyramid scheme where you always have to keep funneling in. When a company must raise cash, not for innovation, but for day-to-day operations, it's a sign that the business might not be as healthy as the headlines are implying. Again, the article lists multiple expensive problems all happening at once, all right? Each store is about $4 to $5 million per store to open a new retail location. If Skims is opening 10 to 20 stores, she did confirm it's 10 to 15 stores around Israel. That's 50 to 100 million burned pretty quickly. Retail expansion is very expensive, and retail only makes sense if they already have a strong cash base. Again, if you're needing money to fund new stores opening, that's not ideal. Consider this also. The growth curve has slowed. Again, this is the most important sentence in the whole article. The slowed growth curve is the exact reason companies raise more money. Not because things are great, but because their original growth projections are not being met. And keep in mind, investors do not like slowdowns. Brands raise cash to buy more time, buy more customers, and fix the growth story narrative. This means that this rocket ship is not rocketing the way they want people to believe. This is the real kicker. Remember that Nike by Skims collaboration? A lot of people thought that Kim thought that she was going to go head to head with what Kanye did with Adidas. But the thing is, when Kanye was with Adidas, he really had innovations in sneakers. He bought something nobody had seen before. He literally did change the trajectory of Adidas, at least in America, and a whole industry. Okay? So that's something to think about. Nike by Skims is bringing the same tired mess that Nike has, but it's just in different colorways. Again, they said the Nike Skims partnership hasn't quite delivered. Collaborations with mega brands are supposed to be revenue drivers, hype drivers, and margin boosters. If the Nike collab underperformed, and many people said it did, that's a major miss. And if the collab didn't deliver, they now need extra money to compensate for the lost hype and revenue. Investors notice when big partnerships flop. Let's also not forget the Skims NBA. The Skims, is it WNBA? The Skims US Olympics. All of that mess came and went. Ask yourself why. Also, and this is the most important thing, you do not raise $225 million at the time of economic tightening unless you need capital. They were like, 𝐇𝐨, look at it like this. Skims raised $240 million-ish last time, and now they need another $225 million now. A healthy, highly profitable company would not keep diluting ownership by bringing more investors in. They would not take on more investor oversight, because when you bring investors in, they start getting in your business and telling you how to run your company. And they would not need to raise back-to-back money unless they needed cash. Companies like Skims don't raise money for fun. They raise when the runway to take off is short. Also keep in mind, they said the big valuation jump means nothing if cash flow is weak. If Skims went from 4 billion to 5 billion in 18 months, maybe. But keep in mind, they said this. He said, you need to keep in mind, the valuations are fake numbers created during fundraising. It's not what the company is truly worth. It's what investors agree to on paper to protect their share structure. If Skims had a strong cash flow, they wouldn't need more investors to assign them with a higher valuation. This is the classic valuation theater. You raise money, you publish a higher valuation, and you use the press release to keep the brand hot. But behind the scenes, there's a good chance that Skims could be hemorrhaging cash. Again, let's get back to this. They said, 𝐇𝐨, just go back to the rocket ship. You got to ask yourself, I'm reading directly from the text, why does a rocket ship need more fuel? If Skims is so successful, why do they keep needing money? Something isn't adding up. Even investors privately talk like this. Healthy brands with strong profitability don't need a $225 million check from investors that want more oversight. And again, the timing aligns perfectly with Kim's career panic mode. Think about this. Kim's suddenly on TV, doing acting, movies, fashion shows everywhere. It feels like she's trying to diversify because Skims is shaky. This is a standard founder move when the brand stops printing cash, growth slows, new money requires foundation activation. Investors themselves often pressure founders to raise the company profile, bring more attention to the brand, diversify revenue streams, and repair storytelling around valuation narratives. If Skims is plateauing, Kim must turn herself into the marketing engine, and that's what she's been doing. Again, this fits a larger narrative, and we have to ask. I know Kanye talks a lot of trash, but when he says when he publicly said Skims existed because of him, when he said that they collapsed without his cultural influence, right? And now Skims is raising emergency capital, slowing down and struggling with partnerships. Yeah. And for anybody still holding out, oh, you don't know how business runs, consider this, and this is the mic drop. Taking on more investors means Kim is now owns less of Skims. This is important because they said, 𝐇𝐨, every raising of capital means dilution of founder equity shifting to venture capital, more oversight, and more pressure. If Skims were printing money, Kim would not give away ownership. Investors now own more of Skims than ever. This is never a sign of strength. So what do y'all think? I think that Kanye is doing that typical Gemini thing. He might tell a joke, but he'll never tell a lie. And how would Kanye know what's going on with Skims? He still owns 5%. They still have to give him a profit of the profits, the financial, the balance sheets, what's going on internally. As a 5% investor, he's due that every year, including his dividends. And I think Kanye would know more than anyone. But you know what? That said, I'm going to do a little bit more research. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.